Those who refuse the gift of eternal life are condemned to wander in the darkness of eternal night. Coming this fall from SJS Direct. Last night, towards the end of my live stream, where I was responding to these detractors as related to the high value man, I had an individual come into my live stream towards the last minute and try to take a swipe at me as related to the Omega Black / Omega Bukkaru manga Indiegogo project not getting funded. And this person wanted to make an allegation stating that because I did not make videos throughout the month as related to promoting the Omega Black / Omega Bukkaru Indiegogo, this was one of the reasons why this project did not get funded. Now, I don't believe it's anybody's fault why this Indiegogo project didn't get funded. Sometimes that's just how it breaks. No matter how much promotion or effort you put into some of these Indiegogos, sometimes it just doesn't get funded. I mean, I remember back in 2014 when I did the Kickstarter for Isis Wrath of the Cyber Goddess to raise funds for that cover, and I was frustrated myself at the end when that Kickstarter didn't get funded. And thankfully I had Mike Williams to sit down and talk to me and help me get through that process so that I wouldn't, get too emotional about it. But after that, I started to realize that a lot of times when you have some people out here who complain about things like covers, a lot of times they talk a good game, but when it's time to put the money on the table, sometimes they just don't want to put the money on the table. And I've had the Wrath of the Cyber Goddess Kickstarter fail. I had the second one I wanted to do in 2016. I did one to get 4 covers for the 2016 catalog. I've had that Kickstarter fail. And I had an Indiegogo for the ISIS graphic novel fail. And each of those failures just taught me how to build more discipline and resolve as related to trying to persevere towards my goals. And that's something that the owner of this project, Chris Brown, is going to have to learn when it comes down to these types of projects. Yes, sometimes you're going to have these kind of failures, and they're all part of the business. I mean, there's nobody at fault at the end of the day. It just breaks that way. Now, there were some issues with this project that could have led to this project not getting funded, and all we have to do is go to the page and see some of the statements that I believe were quite a bit of a problem. So I'm going to flip the camera and I'm going to show you the Omega Bukkaru page, which was originally called Omega Black, and Chris had the title of Omega Black as the original title for his manga. However, after getting some comments from some individuals that I found to be quite questionable, he decided to change the entire project and the entire concept of the project in order to try to please people who were a part of this group called Comicsgate. Because in a previous live stream that I did with Chris Brown, he talked to me about how he had the support of Ethan Van Sciver and he had the support of people who were a part of the Comicsgate movement, and he thought that that support was going to get his comic funded. He had Ethan mention him on his live stream, and he had other people mentioning him on the live stream, and in the beginning it looked like the project was going to get funded, and that was back when it had the title Omega Black. And it was this comment that I found to be a very questionable one, and this is what I think led to Chris wanting to change the entire concept. Now, if you look at this comment here, this guy says, I agree with the previous guy. Unfortunately, several previous authors of diverse comics and manga have left a bad taste in the mouth of customers. I am white, as you can be, but I still find your world interesting. However, I initially passed your manga because it had the word black in the title and the cover was just a black guy. I figured it was just another black supremacist book where the white man would be the stereotypical racist bad guy. You are going to have to push to break that mold. Now, when I take a critical examination of that statement, I see a lot of racism in that statement. Now, some people will say that that's a SJW type perspective, but I can just clearly see the racism here because there is no such thing as black supremacy because black people do not have economic power in this country. They do not have political power in this country. They cannot go out here and get a person hired or fired in a corporate setting, and they cannot go out of their way to create political policy to oppress other people. So, how does a black person have so called black supremacy when they don't control anything as related to the allocation of resources in this country or control anything as related to the political process? And that's something that many of these Comicsgate types really don't understand about the politics going on here in the United States as related to black people. And they are sitting there thinking that, oh, because the title says Omega Black, that it's some sort of black supremacist concept, when that's not the case at all. Because many of these same people would also say that Milestone was a black supremacist book back in 1993 and think it was blackety black type comics, but that's not what Milestone was all about. Milestone was about showing us the diversity of thought in the black community and showing us different aspects of black life. We factually got a more well-rounded picture of the black community in the Milestone universe. We got Icon, the black conservative. We got Hardware, who was the educated brother who was a part of corporate America and got tired of hitting the glass ceiling and seeing his work taken away by white people, which is something many black creators experience. We got Rocket, who was the poor black girl. We got Static, who was the middle class young brother who was just trying to get through a day. He was the awkward, nerdy kid. So we got a lot of diversity at Milestone when back in those days we were used to just seeing, oh, the black guy from the hood, but we got to see a richer and bigger picture. And that was one of the things that inspired me to create the SJS Direct universe and characters like Isis and John Haynes. And this guy doesn't really understand anything about diversity or diverse comics. So he's sitting there thinking that it's about some so-called black supremacy, but it's not about black supremacy. It's about you seeing a richer picture of the black experience. And this is one of the problems that a lot of the Comicsgate types have. They're not used to seeing that richer picture of the black experience or seeing different aspects of black culture, and they just think, oh, it's an image of powerful black people. And what I know from reading Omega Black was it was showing you powerful images of a strong black family, because if you look at the initial images of Omega Black, you'll see that it was a powerful black family in a ruling a galaxy, people with godlike powers. And I think that was the thing that intimidated some of these Comicsgate types. They don't like the idea of seeing, one, a strong, masculine, heterosexual black man in a leadership role, and they don't like seeing images of powerful black people. They call that SJW and woke, but I can just see how racist some of these people are, and they want their comics to feature actual white supremacy, where the white man is the most powerful character in the comic. Now, Chris's response was something that I would not have done in this situation. He decided to take this guy's advice and talked about working on a solution that would make the title less divisive. And that solution was changing the title to Omega Bukkaru, and that I thought was something that he shouldn't have done, because that was him compromising his concept, and you never compromise your concept. If you have to walk away from a customer who does not like your product, then you just walk away from that customer, and that's just something you do. I mean, that's just something, if they don't want to buy your concept as you presented it, then you don't change your concept to meet the needs of racists like this. And he wanted to change his concept to feature James on the cover, and that was something that I feared, I think alienated a lot of the black customers who saw the image of the powerful black family taken away and replaced with the image of a child. And that was like neutering the image of black masculinity, black manhood. And he did that towards the end because the pledges weren't coming in. But I would have stood my ground. But this is his project and it's not my project. So there's nothing there I could really do about that. I'm not in charge of that. But that's what he wanted to do with his project. And it's his project to do whatever he pleased with. So he changed the concept, and I believe that was one of the reasons why we started to see the pledges start to go down, because people came for Omega Black. People knew Omega Black from what Chris was selling at the comic shops, Chris was selling at Anime NYC. They knew that character, but when they saw this Omega Bukkaru, they were feeling like, oh, this is a different thing, and they felt like it was a bit of a bait and switch. So the project started out, it was 55% funded in the first 4 days. Then things started to stall, and Chris and everybody wanted to go in a different direction. And if you go in a different direction, there's not much a guy like me can do. I mean, yes, I have a YouTube channel, and I have possibly 12,000 or so subscribers, and there's only so much promotion I can do on the channel before it becomes white noise. For example, I oftentimes put ads on many of my videos for books, and I put them there to promote the books, but I don't know if that's going to persuade anybody to go out here and pick up that book, but I put it out there anyway, and it's a question of if or them that whether they decide to go out here and pick up this book. Now, I did initial promotion for Omega Black. I put it on my Facebook, put it on my Twitter, put it on my Instagram, and I went to numerous crowdfunding groups to promote Omega Black, and I went out to go out and make an entire video, and I put a post up on YouTube to promote Omega Black when the Indiegogo came out. And I also went out of my way to promote it on multiple Friday night live streams, posting the link multiple times throughout those live streams over the course of 60 days. So I tried to make every effort to reach the largest audience with those promotions, because that's all I could do. I mean, I can only put it in the initial video launch, and I could only put it in the live stream, because the live streams I thought were more effective for promotion, because I have the people sitting right there in the audience. I have them talking as I'm talking about a subject, and I can let them know what I'm selling as I'm going on, because that's how I get some sales for books. I do it when I'm doing a live stream. I usually promote books throughout the course of that live stream, and as the live audience is hearing about the books, they then can click a tab and head over to Amazon. Usually, when I promote through the videos, there's not really much traction, but when I do the live streams, there's a lot more traction. I was trying to give Chris the bigger audience with the live streams, but the person who made this allegation thinks, oh, if I made videos every day, this would lead to things being different. But I can tell you from my own promotional experience, it didn't really change anything, because I have made if I made numerous videos every day again, it would have been white noise to my viewers, and they would have gotten turned off after hearing the same thing over and over again. Because when I did the ISIS graphic novel, people eventually started to tune out, and then I had to just move on to other subjects. And I had to move on to other subjects because a lot of my viewers out here, they wanted me to speak on other topics. They wanted me to speak on other subjects. People send me emails all throughout the week asking me to talk about certain videos and certain subjects. And people are constantly, sending me content, and they want me to respond by making a video on that subject. And some of these people, they will drop a Cash App or a PayPal donation requesting a video be made about a certain subject. So I have to take priority on those viewers, because that's a much larger audience than I get for my comic videos or my comic review videos. For example, if I do a video about a celebrity like a Halle Berry, or I talk about an issue like Breonna Taylor or the Me Too movement, those videos are going to get over 1,000 views in one day. So though there's a larger audience that's going to want to watch that video, whereas if I do a video on a comic book, like the most recent video I did on Iron Man #1, which was a video I was very passionate about, that video only got 162 views in one day. So when I get a request for a video that's talking about a celebrity or men's issues, or talking about other subjects that would get a higher view count and the people are asking about those things, I'm going to make making those videos a priority, because those videos are going to get more views than me making a comic book video. So that's one of those things that's related to keeping the channel up. When the channel is content driven. When you have a YouTube channel, it is primarily driven by the content, and you have to make the content that the viewers want to see. Now, there are subjects that I am very passionate about, like the Black Goth subculture, African American fantasy, and science fiction. But whenever I get a request for a video, and I get lots of requests for videos, I have to go with the customers who make those requests. And when they send me an email and say, hey, I want to see this subject, and then some people are sending me cash apps and asking for a subject, then I'm going to make those videos. And some people want advice videos, so those people, they are the ones who support the channel actively, and I have an obligation to those viewers to give them the content that they are asking for. So this guy who wants to say, oh, you didn't make this videos over the course of the 2 months, well, those videos wouldn't have gotten that many views, because these comic videos are out here, and I'll show you an example of them on the studio page. Now, if we head over to the studio page, we can see Iron Man #1. That video came out yesterday, only 162 views. Meanwhile, thoughts on the Trump-Biden debate circus has 1,070 views. And if we look at the video in the middle, talking about a new camera and my plans for the future, 433 views. And if we look at the video for Static Shock 20th anniversary, only 371 views. So when we look at the comic videos, they don't really get the traction that other videos get, like Donald Trump's Platinum Plan, which video viewers requested, or the Charles Barkley one people requested, or the Gaslighting Black America, which I just made from my own personal thing. These videos get higher view counts, and that's what people are asking for, so I'm going to make those videos because people want those type of videos. Now, about a couple of weeks ago, I had an issue with another person who got upset over the video I made talking about wanting to work for Milestone, and this was also related to the whole Omega Black, Omega Bukkaru situation, and they got upset over that video talking about, wanting to work for Milestone and Milestone returning and presenting what skills I have to offer. Now, if we look at this Milestone video, it only got 430 views. So these comic videos don't really get the traction my other videos receive. I mean, even my E-Steam video did better. It's got 600 views, and that one's talking about Black Daddy issues. And if you look at the Halle Berry one, it's 2,100 views. So this making videos wasn't going to change anything as related to the Indiegogo. The audience that watches the comic videos is far smaller than the people who watch my other videos, because some of these people know me from Blogger and my men's issues content. Now, more people know me from my men's issues content than my comic content, and these are the people who come out and pick up books like Stop Simpin' and The Man Crisis. Now, when it came down to this project, there was only so much I could do to promote it. I mean, not everybody who watches my channel is a comic fan. Yes, there are black comic fans, black sci-fi fans, and black fantasy fans who watch this channel, but there are also more men's issues people who watch the content, and there are sisters who watch this content, and I don't know if they were interested in buying or putting in a pledge for Omega Bukkaru or Omega Black, but that's on them. I mean, all I can do is put the concept in front of people, and they can choose or choose not to go pick that book up. So that's how it breaks when it comes down to crowdfunding projects. You can't just say, oh, it was because Sean James didn't make videos throughout the course of 60 days. There were other people who were supposed to come in. Now, I'm asking the critical question, what happened to all of those comics gators out there who say they wanted to get better comics? Here was Chris presenting you with a really great manga, and nobody came out to support that manga. Instead of trying to support this young brother in putting out a very positive image of black people, we had many of these same people trying to say that this was a racist concept and a black supremacist concept. And when I listen to that statement, I can just see how hypocritical many of these comic skaters are, because many of these exact same comic skaters, when Kwanzaa did the Kickstarter for Black, were the same ones going out putting up pledges for Black and Black AF. And they were sitting there giving this guy airtime on their channel, giving that guy views, and giving that guy support for a comic book concept that was talking about these black characters who were fighting the evil white man. But here is Chris presenting people with an image of a powerful black family in a distant galaxy, and they don't want to support him because they call it black supremacists. Now, I see the racism in these people because they're sitting there, they're supporting Kwanzaa and his black, talking about it's an SJW comic. Meanwhile, they're spending money on said SJW comic to roast it, putting in pledges for said SJW comic to roast it. And what's more even troubling from the Comicsgate on the right and the woke people on the left is how they give Kwanzaa this support. And you have Kwanzaa getting ready to get a movie deal for black. Meanwhile, you have Chris, who can't get any support for his Indiegogo for Omega Black / Omega Bukkaru. And even more troubling, he thinks he has to change his concept to please this group of both racists on the right with the Comicscape and racists on the left with these SJWs, thinking that if he changes the concept, that will appeal to these people. But I can tell you from personal experience, nothing is going to appeal to these people who make the allegation that they want better comics, but they only want comics featuring black characters that fit a certain narrative. And that narrative has to be this black character being in this codependent relationship where he sees himself as inferior and sees whites as people he wants to seek the validation and approval of. And when you have somebody like Chris, he's putting together a narrative that's breaking out of that codependency. That's something that they want to talk about black supremacists and they don't want to support, even though they say they want great comics. But it seems like they only want comics that fit a certain narrative. They don't want really good, solid storytelling. And that's what I'm seeing from this Omega Black / Bukkaru. They're sitting there they were out there putting in the pledges in the beginning. Again, we were 53% funded, and then all of a sudden you had people coming in, the racists coming in and trying to play mind games, and they were talking about this is black supremacist, why do you have black in the title? Well, you have to understand that when you run into people like that, these are racist, and you have to tell them it's black because the characters are black, and it's a black galaxy, and this is African American fantasy. That's what I would say in the case of that, because I'm not in an effort to try to please people who are not interested in buying anything in the first place. Now, I've run into these kind of people with ISIS, and a lot of these people, they want to talk about the character's too light-skinned or the character is not black enough, and I've run into that all throughout my professional career. And I say to those people that, look, this character is this way for a reason. The ISIS character has golden skin to show her sterling reputation and her sterling image, and also because gods of Egypt were originally designed to say that they had skin of gold, and she has auburn hair because Seth had his red hair, and that's a gene that was related to Egyptians. So when people come to me saying, oh, you're trying to make this character white, or this is a white woman, I say, no, this is rooted in the Egyptian mythology and is a part of that mythology. And I've done my research, and I can go and show those people those aspects of the culture, so that when they come to me saying that the character is not black enough, I can go and show them where this is rooted in the mythology. And that's the kind of resolve you have to have when you're dealing with people who want to be detractors and say, oh, this is a racist concept. It's not a racist concept. It just does not fit their narrative and image for black people. And if those people don't want to buy your product, there's no changing it to persuade them, and there's no making it into something that will appeal to them. So you have to stand fast on your concept. You have to be proud of your concept. And Chris has a proven concept. He sold over 10,000 copies of Omega Black to comic shops all across this country, and sold 10,000 copies to readers all at these Comic Cons, and built up a customer base. He shouldn't get discouraged about the failure of an Indiegogo. I mean, that's just a um, small bump in the road. You have to keep persevering if you want to get success. I mean, when I had the Indiegogo for the ISIS graphic novel fail, what I did was I regrouped and I said, I'm going to leave these crowdfunding platforms alone for a little while. And what I'm going to do is try to raise the funds through Patreon and PayPal donations and your Cash App donations and the Super Chats. And over the course of the last year, and it was a long year because I had Patreon donations drop due to the whole passport debacle, and I still persevered, and I managed to save up enough money to be able to pay for the E-Steam No Good Deed strip that's supposed to be featured in the ISIS graphic novel. So I have one of the stories completed, and I had to do that on my own. And I believe Chris can do it on his own. It might take a little longer to do, but he can get this done. Now, when it comes down to my own projects, I'm still persevering. I'm still trying to raise those funds to pay for the ISIS graphic novel. But I now know that from my own experience dealing with these people in Comicscape, they cannot be relied on to get any sort of project funded. They are too caught up in their own personal issues as related to so-called SJWs and identity politics to think about anybody's story or characters, and they are also caught up in trying to form this clique that tries to go out here and be the people who run comics, and they're very similar to the what they allege the gatekeepers of the Whisper Network are all about. So when I look at both groups, they really are not about helping get great comics to the marketplace, because when I look at these guys, they're either roasting up what they call SJW books from mainstream publishers, or they're promoting their own work, and they are passing by lots of great creators, many of which I have featured on my own channel, and many of which I have promoted on my own channel. I mean, I'm one of those guys who, when I see a great comic, I want more people to know about that comic because I love comic books. I've loved them since I was 4 years old, and I want to share those comics with people. I mean, when I see a great comic like a T-Bird and Throttle, a Sister Mercy, a Goth Ghost Girl, and a comic like Agent Solo or Black Villains Wanted, I let people know that this creator has got this Kickstarter project going. I let people know to put in their pledges. I make a quick video to let people know that that comic is out there. And some of those creators they say thanks to me, and they're grateful for my help and support because they can see the pledges coming in from the promotion. I just make one video and they can see the pledges coming in, and some of them see the people coming in and asking about those comics. So if I make one video and it does that, it has an impact, then I know that it should have been able to do the same thing for Chris's Omega Black. I mean, if it can help one creator, one video, that would help. But I didn't want to make white noise where you're making 50 videos throughout a week letting people know, hey, this comic is here, hey, this comic. Eventually they stopped listening, and they didn't come here for that. They wanted to see the other topics, but there's only so much, again, one guy can do, especially when it's not his project. Now, I want to see Chris have success as related to Omega Black. I still think it's a fantastic concept. I still think it has lots of potential, and I still think he can do great things with this concept. But when it comes down to Comicsgate, it's just a waste of time dealing with these people because they are so caught up in their rhetoric that they almost are becoming as bad as the SJWs they complain about. And when I look at the whole comic book collective world, people are getting tired of these thin-skinned types, and they just want to get back to reading great comics. And I'm seeing more and more great comics come to the marketplace, and I'm seeing a lot of really great books coming out of that period. I'm looking at when I look at the comics these days, the SJW period is looking more and more like it's ending, and it's looking like we're getting back to quality comics coming to the marketplace. I mean, when I've been reading these days, I'm seeing a lot more good books than bad books, and I want to see Chris's book get that elevation and support that it deserves. So this is just a setback as I see it for Chris, and I see him going on to do greater things, but he has to stop trying to please people like these Comicsgate types who want to talk about this is too black. If they cannot stand a black concept from a black creator, then you shouldn't even waste your time dealing with that person, because that person doesn't want to be a customer. That person only wants to be a detractor. Now, if you want to help me be able to fund the ISIS graphic novel and help me get further along in the process of getting this novel to the marketplace, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up the other books in the ISIS series, or the books in the E-Steam series, or the John Haynes series, or the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, you can find all of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available, paperback and Kindle Unlimited, ISIS, the main event. It's carnage inside of a steel cage when the goddess next door steps in the squared circle with the beast from the boss in this action-packed all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, the main event, paperback and Kindle Unlimited today.